Okay, so today we're gonna go ahead and look at updating Mastodon, and we're gonna do that by taking a quick tour of my instance, capitalism.party here, and we're gonna update this version. So right now you can see we're at 132 or 1.3.2, and there's now a new release, 141. So we want to get 141 up onto our server, and I'll show you how I tend to do that. So the first step would be to make sure that we update all of our code, and so I actually have my Mastodon stuff right here, and you can see I am on my own branch. This is because I had to make some modifications to add the paywall. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fetch in the remotes. Can't remember what I had called it. Okay, so let's make sure we get master, and let's get, what is it, tags? Okay, so we're looking for 141. So first, see what changes I have. Yeah, so I've hard-coded some stuff here. You can see the images are pointing to the old paths. We'll see why that was done in a minute, but for now, let's just get rid of it. So now you can see we have a clean head. So let's pull in, and actually, I'm just going to do merges because I don't really care too much about the history here. Let's see, v141. We'll see if this goes. I might have to give it a origin and such. Okay, cool. All right. So merge conflicts are relatively common the way I do this. It's not great, but let's just quickly bang through all these. So first, we're going to pull up the Docker file. So we can see here, entry point, I've got some stuff. They've added a cron tab, okay. I'm not crazy about what I'm seeing, but it is what it is. Oh wait, no, I've added the cron tab. That makes more sense, maybe? Or maybe, I can't remember what the source on this is, so let's look and see if we can find out. Git blame Docker file. Need to know if I added these or if they did. I did. So, probably relatively important. Let's see what our cron tab has in it. Cool. Alright, well, I'm going to leave it. The volume clearly looks like they've changed it, so let's keep theirs. The entry point and running the entry point seems like it's them, so we're going to zap our Puma line, though let's make sure real quick that they are running Puma the same. Executing process. Okay, so this is really just an entry point, not a command. Cool. So I'll leave the command the same, I guess. We'll see. We can fix this if it doesn't work later. Okay. Alright, so that's our first one. Let's see, we got our gem file that we'll copy in registrations controller under auth. Okay, so I've added a create, they've added a destroy. Def new super. I feel like this needs an end after it. So let's see. We have a def and an end here. We have a def here, and then this end is getting picked up for both. So let's bring it up here. We'll take their destroy. We have our new. We have our create. This may or may not be correct. I'll probably have to do a bit of click testing to be sure everything is okay. All right, sessions controller. Oh, did I switch this somehow? Oops. Oh, that's not right. There's some way to switch these two panels, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. Sessions controller. Okay, so we have a couple of these here. Skip. Okay, so let's see here. We're gonna create them. We have my paid stuff. This is the change here that they wanted us to take in. So remember me, you can see that this is the same and that other flash line had been modified. Okay. And here what I'm doing is just searching for these carets to make sure that I haven't missed anything in these files. Okay. So we've done this one, this one, this one. Let's look at forms and our compose styles. Okay. Button, block button, A button. So I have added this here. And because I'm just gonna mix it in the middle there, and maybe Git will have an easier time in the future with picking this up. Okay, cool. And finally, let's look at the gem file and just see what changed. Mini test was upgraded, message pack was added, multi-JSON stayed the same. Okay, so mini test can come up, message pack needs to be added, multi-JSON dead. This is really not what you're supposed to do. This file should be generated automatically, but bundler is just like a big heap of garbage, so I will do what I want to do to get it working. And you can see here I'm running without a lot of these things hard-coded. We'll bring in their hard-coded values and we'll see if it blows everything up or not. Finally, compose. Okay, so I'm running with development environment, fine. I have some other changes, okay. I probably want to take in their changes just because I'm gonna be like blasting this stuff with stash anyways. Here's what I'll do, I'll just comment out mine. This file's getting very gross, but in the interest of expediency, I will just make it theirs, but make sure that I haven't lost any of our branches changes. And these are the same, we can lose these image links here. In fact, I guess the only change is the end file and then the command here having development added. So not too bad. Alright, so now let's look and see. Okay, I'm not seeing any conflicts left. So let's just go ahead and finish the merge. Okay. Now we need to do a build. Alright, Docker compose. So what I'd like to do, version 3, oh, there's a change. I don't even have version 3. Oh, that's a bit of a snag. Let's see, are they actually using version 3 features or not? Oh, that seems like a no. Alright, so the reason I had that stuff in the stash is because the way I typically build my images, well, hold on. pop. Okay, so perfect. What I had done here is I'm pointing at these specific images that I am building elsewhere on my box. So that's really the key thing here. So I'm gonna go ahead and kick that off, and then I'll fix this file. So I have this build Docker images. So let's make sure. You could definitely automate a lot of this stuff, setting up the version numbers automatically based on the tag and all whatever else. I am just gonna do it by hand for now. I don't really think there's a strong reason to automate it when the updates are happening so infrequently. Alright, let's see. Somewhere here is this build Docker images. Ops. Let's see if it has the right path stuff set up. Okay, yeah, so there's some absolute path or relative path grossness here, but again, this isn't built to be shared with everybody. This is just like however I can get forward day by day. So, and then the other thing, let's see, I was looking at Docker Compose. So the goal here is to run tests. So I want to make sure that we have all the appropriate stuff. Let's see. Let's just get rid of some of our stash stuff. So we know what that is. Restart always, whatever, and build. Okay. So basically, what I'm going to do is point Docker Compose at our freshly generated images. Packs is new. Assets pack system config db temp. Cool. All right, that looks like all of them. Okay, and then here we have a similar thing. And actually, these are like so close to being the same. Web streaming sidekick. npm run start is the command that needs to happen, but env doesn't matter. This can go 141. Come up here. This goes away. Okay. I'll probably fast forward through a lot of this, but on the off chance that I don't, I will try and do it quickly anyways. Okay, so we have our build going. Let's see if it's looking okay. Yeah, it looked like it was going. I wouldn't be surprised if, yeah, so here's what I'm expecting to happen. Cool. So we have our bundle stuff is gonna be sad until we fix that gem file lock. And this definitely can be a pain. I had a solid fix for it. I'm trying to recall what it was. I believe I had to come to the bundle install yarn ignore optional. This stuff has changed a little bit. What if we don't copy a gem file lock? I feel like this isn't gonna work, but we can. Doesn't hurt to give it a run. Oh, this is a no cache. Whoops. I actually kind of don't need to rebuild that whole thing. Whatever, it'll work okay. I might pop that out though. So let's just throw these in here. And I might have already lost it, but we'll find out. We'll see if those caches are still in place or not. Alright, so we have some cache stuff being used. We gotta go through this install again. So basically, I can talk a little bit about my Kubernetes setup while we're waiting, I guess. So I have a Helm chart set up, which we could see with this. You are probably going to see some personal stuff here as well. Nothing client-oriented, but I don't mind showing off some names of whatever I'm working on. Not a big deal. So Mastodon here, you can see, is our main thing. And we could check exactly what I've done here if we wanted to see the history of all the deploys and everything. So this all just comes from, it's probably some fixing bugs and whatever here. And I really ought to fix the chart name too, which I guess I'll start doing so that this is more meaningful. So let's make sure that this matches here, and then our history will show the version here instead of having to dig in a different way to get the versions out. Okay, so basically what Helm does is it's like a package that takes some, it's a nice wrapper around like templating and configuration stuff for your Kubernetes services. So roughly you sort of define a chart, you yeah, and here's the file I want to show you about. You define the values and stuff that you need to be like basing your variables off, basing your templates off of. It could be like a list of things. It could be just some stuff that's getting directly injected, some YAML getting directly injected into your Kubernetes definitions. There's a number of ways. I mean, it's a pretty broadly powerful tool, so there's definitely some rough edges you'll see relatively quickly. So the basic setup is we have services here. So we've got an Nginx service, we've got a web service, and we've got our streaming service. These are our three main things. Nginx serves HTTP and HTTPS here. Web is actually just internal here. You can see your cluster IP means that it's not externally accessible, whereas our load balancer will be. So across our load balancer basically is going to get a public IP set by the public IP in our values file. We accept 80 and 443, and then Nginx handles routing itself, which we can go look at here. So 80 is just going to redirect us to HTTPS on 443, so that's fine. And then on 443, we can see we have a certain location here. This guy is getting passed to template-streaming : and then the streaming port. And if we come back here and look at our web, we have template web and external port. So I'm using the template name as part of the service names here, and we can come back and look and see exactly template name web, template name streaming. So this is the one level of the indirection that keeps everything all hooked together here. And let's see, helpers, this is going to pull in values and put them in, basically. So let's see, template. So I have a config map up here at the top, and you can see we have just some Nginx configuration. It's not necessarily the best way to do this, but I find myself changing this pretty often, and I kind of like it having it in this file, the Nginx config in particular. I might find, I don't know, I'm playing with this stuff all the time. This is a bit old at this point. So basically we have our deployments. I'm not going to go through all of what all the different kube pieces mean. You can look that stuff up elsewhere, but deployment is a pack of pods and some desired characteristics about where and how they run, how many, etc. Under what conditions, on which nodes, blah, blah, blah. So we have our web deployment, we have a cron deployment, we have an Nginx deployment, we have a Sidekick deployment, and a streaming deployment. So if we look at all this stuff, Sidekick, oh, you know, I think I remember reading that they moved, the reason that cron was not there anymore is because they moved stuff to Sidekick. So I may or may not end up blowing stuff up when I push this live. If I do, we can roll back pretty simply, but I'll have to look into that. So anyways, let's see, Sidekick. I think it is, let's see, which moves a renewal code, blah, 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 push subscriptions. Bundle install, not required in Docker deployments. Yeah, okay. Speaking of, let's check. Yeah. Alright, let's see. So I have to do some shenanigans here. Sorry to jump all around. I definitely have to do some shenanigans in order to get this to build. And I can't quite remember what they were. So we're going to put in our gem file and our gem file lock. I think there's a flag I need to add here to bundle install. That will just let me do it. And I don't think it's enough to just like run bundle install run cat gem file.lock. I don't see this working, but possibly. In fact, maybe here's what we'll do. Let's just stop it there. I will rerun this guy. It should have everything else cached, so we won't have to wait on those. We'll find out. I hope. I'm not seeing much. Oh, echo. We'll have to see. Basically, I just want to get to a console so I can not have to wait this long cycle time to be able to figure it all out. Cool, so that failed, that's expected. So we have our build image here. Mastodon pre-build, Mastodon web. 141, yeah, these are the arguments, but what did we actually build? Mastodon pre-build, okay. So let's say docker run mastodon pre-build. Dash, let's see. Okay. So we got to make sure we have our terminals and whatever. I couldn't remember if run. Docker compose run adds it automatically. Docker run does not. Whatever. Kube exec also does not, which is good to know. So bundle install should give us an error, but we'll find out. If it doesn't, then I can just copy this gem file over and we'll be good to go. Looks like it's going to go, so that's good. Cool. Well, hopefully that keeps rolling. All right. So back to kubeland. What I have here is a bunch of values, and this one is called no secrets. It's not actually the one being used. I've just replaced some of our sensitive values with gibberish here. And it's not great to keep your secrets here in environment. Variables like in your config maps or wherever, it's really better to set up some third-party secrets management vault or whatever, but that's a bit beyond the scope for now, and also probably overkill for a half parity open source project instance. Alright, this is going good. And we have our controller here. So basically the steps left here are I need to get this gem file fixed. I think our merge conflict is probably handled. So fix this gemfile.lock, build and run tests. The tests may or may not work. Not too hung up on it. I think in the past the tests have not always ran correctly in this environment. So more importantly is pushing out the actual update. So as soon as I have this stuff building, I can just start to deploy and see how it rolls out. And if I don't like the way it looks, then we'll just roll it back, which is pretty trivial to do. So let's say I wanted to roll back. I could see where it's at now. Helm get, no, what is it? Inspect status. So we can get our full status here and see it's deployed, and we have config map, and we have our 5 deployments, sorry, because of cron, which is the one I've added, and then our services and the IPs and ports and all that. You can see it's been running under this for about 60 days here. Still going, okay. So if you wanted to roll back, it's as easy as like you do history, you figure out which number you want, you tell Helm, roll it back, and it'll pull out all of the definitions and config stuff as it was at that time. Obviously, if you're using some external system or something to provide your variable values, it's not going to know about that point in time. But everything that runs through tiller, which is the process that sits on your cluster somewhere and actually handles doing all of the work that you've instructed Helm to do. So this no secrets file isn't really the one we want to be modifying. So we'll change the tag of the image that we want to load here, and you can see exactly how this comes in. So this is images web tag. And if we came back here to our deployment, we can see somewhere here we have an image. We have our repository, that's another variable. We have our web name, and then we have our web tag. And a number of images use this, a number of our services, our pods and containers use the same image and just are calling in different commands. So this guy is running our sidekick stuff. This is this task queue. This guy is going to be running our node, whatever. Here it is. So you can see where it all does the stuff. This guy just runs cron. Probably better practice is to put all of these commands into separate entry points and mount them on the image and just be able to call an entry point. But in either case, I have this stuff in source control, so it's not really all that big of a deal to me. So let's just pull this in a gross way. I don't necessarily recommend people work by copy paste scrolling, but so here we got roll bar, we got stripe. Those are the two that I needed added. That's frustrating after all that just to get these two in. Part of me wants to learn bundler better, and part of me is just like, bundler once deleted my user local directory because I ran a bundle clear, and I don't really have the patience to learn a tool that's making those kind of design decisions intentionally. Yeah, pretty insane. So now we'll run our build. We'll come back to our Docker file and fix that. So this guy is going to run all our stuff. Okay. Docker file. Okay. We can lose these. Oh, I'll block this down here. Probably should turn off all my notifications and stuff, but whatever. Oh, I'm also noticing that we're missing a little bit of the top of the screen just now, but I don't know if it matters at all. Nah, we're fine. We're fine. There's like some URLs, bars and stuff up here that you're potentially missing, but you can see everything you need to see, in my opinion. I'll have to do a better job next time. So normally I do a live streaming thing, and when there's big bits of downtime like this, I can interact and ask questions and all that. Have something more engaging to go on during this, but it is what it is. Let's just look at these and see if there's any other notes, upgrade notes. Because I'm pretty far back, and I remember reading some notes about backwards incompatible stuff. We could see how far back I am. I'm on 132. So this guy is one of the newest, so no longer requires cron job. So a lot of no ops. So I'm just gonna push them out, and we'll see what happens. There's definitely better ways of handling all this, but I mean, how much of that do you want to build out for your Mastodon instance? Somebody can build it out and share it with everybody. That would be cool. These additional system packages are required. Okay. Let's make sure CDN host is set. If you set a non-default streaming API based URL. All right, let's look at some of these and see. CDN host has to have. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to change some of these values. I will block the screen for a second and make these changes real quick. So, let's see, CDN host I'm changing here. So I just have to not show the keys that are down here at the bottom. It's the main thing. So we're gonna change our CDS host. Let's see, monitor can come back here. So we have our host change, streaming API base URL doesn't have, let's see, WebSocket secure, I believe is what we need. Compile assets happens automatically. Packs instead of public assets, that probably does impact me. So this one's a bit of a doozy of an upgrade. Okay, so now live under public packs instead of public assets. Yeah, and I feel like my Docker file for Nginx is copying in. Oh, it copies in all of public. Okay. Maybe this just needs to go to packs. So here's where like we could potentially cheat a little bit and see where other people's instances are already going. I'm just gonna wait and see if mine has issues or not. But and another thing we could do is this. We can double it up and then remove the one that wasn't necessary, or maybe both of them will. It's hard to say. I mean, this seems to say that they're going to live under here, but I don't know if that means that this public URL is still going to be packs or if it's going to be assets, because presumably if you have other people linking against your assets, you don't want to just move them all somewhere. Then again, Mastodon has several times just invalidated all of the existing links by changing URL structure, and for some reason they don't just put in the old URL forwarding to the new one. They just let all the links die. Don't ask me. I'm not sure who to blame. Probably myself. Alright, well, I'm gonna go ahead and take a pause while this is running the build, and we'll be back whenever it's done to finish up the deployment process. Okay, and we're back. We are towards the final end of my build process, which I will just show you real quick here. So basically, these are the steps here. We first we build. This used to have the no cache, if you recall. I took it out earlier. We build a building image for like dependency injection reasons. I just like doing this whole thing separately. So basically we build a light image and make sure that this also, with the cache clear here, the fresh build stages will get used for these later images. So running the one no cache up here is a lot faster than trying to drive the no cache into both of these in a smart way. So anyways, we run a build once. We use it to build the assets and make sure that that stuff looks okay. After we've locally built the assets, we make sure that, in my case, the Docker process is going to be generating all of its files as owned by root. So we make sure that they get changed to the right user for our local user. My whole environment is this portable vagrant thing, so it's just that the user's vagrant for now. That's obviously not where it lands as on the other box, but and then we build our image name, and then we build our Docker file. So we build the web image here, and then we build our Nginx image here. And you can see up here web and Nginx getting driven through. We make sure that we've tagged them appropriately, and then we push them up to our repository, which in my case is the Google Cloud container storage stuff. So that's what's going on here. It's now pushing Nginx, I can see here, and I have this script set so that you can see all of the stuff that happens here with the values put in. Okay, so at this point now we're done building our images. They've been pushed up. They work potentially, but we don't know yet. But we could definitely deploy these. There's just no guarantee that our server will come online. It probably wouldn't go offline, but we don't know that it would come online. So let's do this. Let's make sure that it works first. And then we can go in and... Okay, so basically let's get DB and Redis up. I just want to test locally, make sure that everything is working more or less. It looks like we've lost our Firefox instance. Okay, well, I will have to get that open again. I will be right back. I think there's client stuff gonna pop open depending on which browser I open this on. We'll find out. I can always edit it out. Okay, so then this comes over here, and that goes like there. Okay, cool. So we're back. We have our instance here. We're gonna be doing stuff on localhost. So first, let's make sure that is that right? I think that was right. Yeah, okay. So it looks like nothing is listening right now, so good. We will get this started up, and it should start listening on 3000. We probably want to start them all, but I don't see. Okay, well, we'll just test it as is. So we've got it pointed at our new images that we've made. They're local. So let's see what happens. Okay. That's DB. Oh, let's see, that's Redis. Yeah, fine. Web says it's updating permissions. Updating permissions. Okay, they're all doing the same thing. Oh no, what is the startup time cost on that operation? That's probably in the entry point, I'm guessing. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, I feel like this is probably gonna blow up what I have now, but we'll find out. Okay, not found. Yeah, so this is trying to point to production. So let's put it back at our dev and file, and let's just check web first. Okay, so we'll get these back up in the background, and then we'll run web here. I like running it this way. It gives you a terminal that you can drop to for debugging and pick up auto uploads, auto reloads and stuff seem to work better. Ooh, this kills me. That's a while. Okay, so now we got it running on 3000. Let's see what we get. I'll do some. Okay, that seems about right. Public JS and Pax manifest. Okay. Well, I'm gonna sort through some of these issues potentially offline, and then we'll be back to do the final upload. Real quickly, I can look and see if what's going on here. So one way that's good to debug this kind of stuff. So we're gonna see where it's running, 147. We're gonna drop into a shell on our actual instance, so we can see that our stuff is running over here. And it's telling us that it doesn't like, can't find Mastodon public Pax, blah, blah, blah. So let's look at public. And there's nothing in Pax, and there's plenty of stuff in assets. So, and the file it's looking for isn't there either. Interesting. So where did the Pax come from? Where's my build? Public assets. Ah, so you see local assets path. Here's where I've screwed up. Let's do this. Pax, let's add Pax. Gross, okay. And let's bring this out into a like volume args. This guy here needs volume args. Okay, and then this one's gonna be the same. So what happened here was I failed to correctly link in the volume, so that when we built the packs, they didn't actually get copied into our final images, I believe. That should do it though. So this is definitely one of the reasons why doing things a little more incrementally is better than long form, or waiting a long time between changes. So this is the step that I think ran incorrectly last time, and so I want to check. I want to see our Pax folder. I should be able to just see it filling up. Public Pax assets. Okay, so let's just keep an eye on Pax. Every 5 seconds we can check it out. Alright, well, if this doesn't go much faster, I'm gonna take a break, because this stuff is pretty painfully slow. I'm just gonna recommend that if people are sitting here or watching this right now, that you just like bring your mouse cursor on down over and skip a minute or two if I haven't cut this out. This is taking a while. Alright, so now we can see. Done doing some testing stuff. Looks like it's setting up Webpack stuff. So should be any second now. And you can see up here in this top right hand corner that every 5 seconds we're getting this run. I've gone a long time so far without talking about my distaste for Ruby. But, man, there's just like not a lot of, how to say it, community demand for high-speed processes, I guess is what I would say. So like it just seems like now packs came in, boom. And it looks like this is all the stuff that was in assets before, actually. So we can probably just kill assets folder entirely. Because it's going to have a bunch of old stuff otherwise. So let's take a look at that. So this guy's all June assets here. Well, see, PG Euro Doorkeeper, like some of this stuff is still coming in, and that makes me feel like maybe it's better to just have both. Oh, cannot access. What is this? What is this? Oh, how did that happen? All right, well, was there an error on the lines above? No. All right, well, I'm gonna comment these out then and just keep on going from where we left off. Okay, and now this is going to build. None of this should take very long, and then the updates should all be incremental all the way through. So, oh, that's going to copy what it is after it, though. Run, cron down. No, it should be fine. No, it wasn't fine. Build command not found. Build document line 30. Docker build. Huh? I'm missing something here. Ah, build. There was no Docker. How? Anybody see what just happened there? Well, I guess I can go review my footage and see where I screwed up. I'm just gonna start it all over from scratch and give it a second, I guess. Hopefully it can just cache its way all the way through. I really don't like that the permissions get updated as part of the startup process. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It would seem like you would want them to be in the images already updated, but I guess if somebody has the ability to get in at that point of your startup process, you have already lost all of your security for the image. Because I'm sure the entry point, all that stuff happens before the servers start up. It would have to. So maybe it's fine. Just a little painful. But with that other stuff running, I'm curious. I feel like there's a good chance now that with the packs in place, that our web node will work okay. I'm gonna just do this while this stuff is going on. It's not smart, but that doesn't matter. Startup, buddy. Like, what's our startup time here? Like, really, what are we looking at? It's kind of absurd. Like 20 seconds. Really obnoxious. Cool. Okay. This looks about right. Our images get served from elsewhere. We can see everything's referencing packs here, so whatever. Packs. Okay. And that's probably because of the, again, the, not the, oh, we are in dev. Okay, cool. Ah, that's why it's running it all. Makes sense. We can see, you know, let's just make sure the other ones start up. Streaming and Sidekick. And then is there, I guess I never did Nginx on here serving up the static. But I'll put this into development. I think this will make it serve the static assets fine. So let's just make sure everything works. Streaming, Sidekick. This will probably take half an hour. Oh, it's because I'm using run. Whoops. Oh. Web streaming Sidekick. I was wondering why we were only getting one of these instead of 3. But that makes a lot more sense now. So we're going to bring up web streaming Sidekick. Being explicit with them here should mean that whenever I kill these processes later, this Docker Compose process, that Redis and DB will stay up to date. They'll stay online. That's sort of the goal. We got our build happening over here, so that's good. Don't have that up yet. Recreating. I kind of wanted to create them. Man, it is real slow right now. I wonder, so here, now we have creating. Yeah, here we go, perfect, better. And this copy is taking an awfully long time. Yeah, I don't know. This is odd, but I just give it its time. Probably because I'm trying to do too much at once. All right, so let's see. So Sidekick, executing, streaming, now listening. Perfect. Sidekick, booting. We'll see if it gets picked up or not. This guy's live. And in. Okay, still no assets. But again, I'm not very concerned about those being served appropriately. There is an issue though. Relation users does not. I just haven't run all of my DB setup, but it should be in. I think I had a migrate entry point somewhere. Which should mean that whenever it starts up, it will just migrate for me, unless I killed it in my Docker file somehow. And this is pushing. I don't want to kill this. I can kill this and get, okay, whatever. Here, I'll do this. All right, so we have our web up. It's B30. Just make sure that's right. Okay. All right, so what I'm gonna do is run a db migrate, trying to recall exactly. It's like bundle exec rails db migrate. Is that it? Hey, that's it. Okay. All right, and now we come back here. We can see we got our login, we got our sign up, we got all this stuff. We can click this. We get our yeah, cool, cool. All right, so let's see. I'll just test the login. Why not? Whoops. I believe 42s is the card number. Okay. All right. Well, looks like that all went through okay. That's great. Okay, and this is done. So, you know, really, like, I don't know if this thing uses RSpec or what. Rate test. We'll see if they have the test thing set up. I can never remember Rails test where they put this in Rails land. Well, there's something here. Let's see. Tests. There, it's got to be under the docs somewhere, I would think. Contributing. Nope. Running. RSpec. It really does just want RSpec. Maybe I have to have more. Maybe I need the dev dependencies installed, and RSpec is just not installed. Which I'm like already. I'm over it. I'm ready to just push it live, see if it works. If it doesn't, we'll roll her back. But I think it's time. I'm a little concerned about this db migrate though. I thought I had an automatic migrate somewhere. In fact, I was almost sure of it. But I'm not seeing it. So maybe I will just run it. It's gross. Yeah, whatever. I'm like, I need to move on and get some client work done. I've already spent about an hour recording this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get it going. We'll see. It'll work or it won't work. Let's get something up of mine, and we will see. All right. So we built our images. Now it's time to deploy. I don't think I have written a script for this. Some of my projects have a script that just does this automatically. Okay. So I think I can just do a Helm. Oh, let's see. Did I prod DB back up? No, that's fine. Helm, upgrade, Mastodon. So now we'll say every 5 seconds. Give me all the pods that have anything to do with Mastodon. So now we can watch these things starting up and whatever, container creating and all that. And let's go ahead and move this one over so we can see it as well. Okay, so all while this is going on, we shouldn't have any major issues. The main thing is going to be that it might get mad at us for not having run these migrations real soon. And so that's where I want to be ready to say, one of our creating containers, like this guy, I'm gonna have to do a kube exec. It's actually kube control, which I have mapped to K. IT, gonna go here. There's only one pod, so we don't have to give it a name. If they run, they may or may not come up. Okay, we'll find out real soon. I feel like, yeah, it seems like too many images have died, but I guess it's keeping enough of them online. And then we need to do a bundle exec rails db migrate. So we're gonna give it another second. Kube can take a minute on occasion. And maybe I'll just send this back over to there so I have more room. So minute, container creating. They're all creating. This should just give me an error. Yeah. I'm not sure why it's not coming up. That's what I want to see. It's pulling a large image. Okay. That seems about right. And then this was getting mad about what? What did it say again? Container not found Mastodon. Yeah, because it's still container creating. Okay, that makes sense. Alright, so when it's done pulling this image, we should see these guys pop up as running, and as soon as it starts to get these online, you'll see it will phase out some of the other ones. See, so right now we have one Nginx running, but it doesn't look like it's live, and that's kind of odd to me. Like, the site should be down-ish. Yeah. Okay. So let's ask it what's up. And then probably this is nothing and just has to do with these needing to come online. Okay. 204s. Running. Okay. So yeah, just a few seconds. These should be ready to go. Let's see if it's up enough to run a migrate. So you see our Nginx's came back online. So the Nginx's, the way I have them set up, they have a health check dependency on like running web nodes and stuff. It's not great. It could definitely be better. And I have a suspicion that these guys are probably gonna try, they may or may not start until this is finished. So this is going now. Good, and now I wouldn't be surprised to see these start working. And if we were confused, whoops, then we can see, oh, it's updating the permissions that they got. It's like, say it's gonna take forever. That's probably why they all took a long time. Gross, very gross. Yeah, see, one of the reasons I'm hesitant to update Mastodon is I feel like it gets worse each time I update it. I'm not crazy about that. Pretty shitty, actually. Okay, so the site's back online. Still see our old version here because, again, we're serving from our old 35-day-old pod here. We're waiting for permissions to update, I guess, and then should be good. This guy's restarting a lot, so let's see what he's up to. Killing container, it's unhealthy. It's unhealthy. So there's a health check failing. We can check our previous log and see. We get a More instance sign up. Yeah, this is me. This is me hitting this server. But health check's still filling. Ah, now we got health checks filling here. Okay, cool. Let's see what's that about. Maybe it's it did finally start and then had an error? No. Updating permissions. Okay, so here's what I think is happening. I think we don't have enough time being given to these things to start up. So we're going to come here to our deployment. And although we wait a long time right now, we're going to wait even longer. So let's... God. Disgusting. Let's wait 60 seconds. Let's wait a full minute for it to do whatever dumb shit it needs to do. Pardon my language. Very gross. Very gross. Okay. And now we'll do another Helm update. Let's see. Helm upgrade. Mastodon. Okay. So now we got some new rules put in place. It should bring in those pods. You'll notice we didn't change any of the image or anything. Image tags or any of that. And through all of this process, you can see that kube is still keeping one of our web nodes running. It's got a sidekick running. That's a new one. It's got an Nginx and a cron. So now we're in this sort of mixed deploy scenario, which is, it's really not good to sit in. You can see the site's sort of functional, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's something, some functionality is degraded somewhere, almost certainly. This web server probably doesn't know how to talk to the newest versions of this stuff exactly. It may or may not, but we'll find out. And the reason I think increasing that timeout is going to work okay is because when we looked at these logs for these other web instances, it looked like it did start successfully and then was killed. So my guess is that we just didn't wait long enough. And now we have a new Nginx running. Our old one is done. Oh no, this is our old one. Okay. So we'll just give it another few. Most stuff that I run, like when you do things like real microservice-y and fast startup and all that, this whole process is a lot less painful. It's these fat threads that cause all the slowness here. I could also just have beefier everything, and that might potentially help. And here we can get something to look at. Let's see if our site's still online. Ish, yeah, looks up. Okay. Updating permissions. See, so we're already at 2 minutes and it's like gonna be wanting to do health checks and stuff. This permissions thing is like, it's killer. You really don't want to do this every time you have to restart a process. This needs to be done ahead of time. Like, I just don't understand. I just don't understand. And part of me wants to fix it, and part of me wants to do something that's gonna earn me my rent money instead of potentially having my fix accepted. You know, that's the problem, is that I don't even know if these people that are making this value this kind of thing or not. Preloading application, yeah, preload it. Yeah, like, I guess maybe Ruby just really wants not commodity hardware. I don't know. Okay, so we got these booted. We still aren't showing as running yet, but we haven't restarted them either, so that's good. No, we just killed them. God damn it. Okay, so it's just our web one that's taking longer. We'll give it 90 seconds to start up. "90 seconds. Oh. Seconds. Alright, so these are all running again, and we're just waiting and waiting on this guy. Permissions updating. They're really going. You know, let's look at this. So what is it doing? It's like, it's literally find public system. It's like I shouldn't even have stuff uploaded here. This is like some, if you're on a single host, a lot of Mastodon is just like not. It seems clear to me that the way the developer is running it is, in his production case, is like not the right way to be running it. And so a lot of decisions get made that might take his production case a little closer to better, but they are taking like my production case further away from better. This permissions type stuff is like, this makes my whole process real slow all the way around. Alright, so now we got our workers finally booted. Soonish we should see these popping up as ready. It takes a minute for them to go through their cycle, but hopefully we have that timeout long enough that it won't get restarted. And where's it trying to go? Let's make sure that is appropriate as well. So it wants to load /about. I guess I could check that and make sure that that's gonna load. Yep, look at that. Okay, so it must be our about. I think this is the problem. We wait every 30 seconds to check, so it's like, yeah, it's like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes until we get our first check in. But even still, it doesn't seem to hit. So let's run web and see what our local. Oh my god, Firefox, just why? Yeah, I want to go to localhost.com. Like, in what world is this the right decision? I just don't understand. Who thinks that localhost.com is like where we should be at? It's just kind of crazy. Okay. Port/about. All right. Liveness probe. Yep. Readiness probe. So I think our liveness check can come way down. It's our readiness check that is failing, maybe. It's unhealthy. A lot of 404s, but the about page is fine. Like that's what's throwing me here, is that the about is loading okay. So what's the deal? Is this really just still too short? Is it the I don't really want to remove the permissions thing, because that's probably just going to make it worse for now. Let's see, so what did I just change? I increased the timeout here to be a bit more. So we'll go 2 full minutes of waiting before we ever make an attempt. And then 3 seconds timeout. Let's just bump it. Let's make it real long in case that first one just takes forever, which should be covered by this, honestly. But we'll find out. And then let's see, I think I had a watch here. Watch. Okay. Cool. So this might take a minute. I mean, almost certainly will. If not a couple. We got our 2 new web nodes running though. Oh, and look, we do have a new one running. This one made it. This one made it alive. This one didn't, and this one made it. So we definitely have some kind of tight timing issue. And that means that I can come back here and show you that finally, oh, nope. LOL. All right, let's see what I've broken here. Style sheets, capitalism.party. Ugh. Well, that loaded okay. Kind of odd. I would think. All right, yeah, we gotta see why are these not here? JavaScript's capitalism.party packs, blah blah blah. So here, I'll just demo a rollback real quick. Our database is still going to be in the wrong state. Is one of the issues with doing the rollback, but I think it's worth it to show. And then I'm gonna sort out the rest of this later. But you'll have seen the whole process, and so we can just do Helm rollback, and we'll also show you the arguments here. So we give it a release name, Mastodon. We get a revision number, 81. And just like that, we can watch this guy. And it's a little problematic because I need to figure out what's actually going on here. So I'll probably re-break this at some point just to see fully what's going on here. But now our newest instances are all the older version of all the code, and this is just referring to an actual Docker image that's older. And they still take a while to start up. I mean, this is just like one of the slowest pieces of software I've ever tried to deploy. But whatever. waiting to see one of these new ones come up. If I remember right, they took about 90 seconds to start before. And let's see, we've got an issue with our static serving. It looked like it was being served okay, but there was no slash assets, there was no slash any of that. And maybe that's the issue. This should have read packs. Potentially. I mean, it won't work now because we're on the new Nginx images. It looks like these are still taking a while to start. But our new one's there. So now if we come back here, we should see that we're back to our old versions. And you can see everything's back online and is probably working more or less. So I'm gonna dig into the assets issue and figure out, like, I got a bad path or something, and who knows. I'll probably record a short update and append it after this, explaining what the final thing was. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it here. Okay, so I believe I finally sorted my issue with the static assets. It came down to, as part of my build process, I use this end production. It generates this file, which has all the asset paths, and these were missing this HTTPS, which you can see is mentioned here. They want you to do it before you run the precompile. So this was one of the tip-offs here. And basically what I did was I went in, and in my values I had already changed it like this. So it was changed in production, but during the asset compilation step it was not yet correct. And so what I had to do was modify the production file and basically go in and do this, but for the file I actually use. So then I rerun the thing and check the assets, rerun the assets pre-compilation and the whole build process, and it all looked good. So I believe now that we're ready to push it live and call it good for now. So let's see. All right, this is good. We got all our 141s up, okay, and then we come back to Helm and let's just push it out. Let's see what we're looking at here. 120 and okay. Let's just give it a go, and then we'll watch it again. And we can even come over here and see as it pushes out and deploys. Cool. All right, so this again will probably take a minute. Nothing too surprising there. And this is like a cheap commodity hardware cluster that this is being run on as well. This isn't a big beefy thing. There's a number of reasons for that, but basically I don't know, spent a long time deploying onto like beefy single box hosts, and I understand that world pretty well. I'd like to learn more about running on a bunch of cheap hardware, and that's sort of what the whole kube thing has been about for me. I was looking for an increase in robustness at the same or reduced effort, and I think it's like, well, the trade-off is well worth it. Yeah, there's a bit more complexity on the front end. Getting stuff set up there the first few times is painful, but once you have the basics down, it does not take that long to sort of spin up new environments that are similar to anything you've done before. And everything is pretty similar in this space, so it really isn't too bad. Okay, so we've got our old, okay, come on. Got 2 old servers running still. We've got streaming and web. This, of course, is because we're waiting for these permissions to update. Any minute now. So we got a lot of these running now. We got our streaming server running, that's good. So we just gotta wait on one of these 2 to pick up the web stuff. You can do it, boys. Come on. It takes so long to do, like, I wouldn't even be surprised if I haven't set the timer long enough. This is one of those things. This is definitely like, if I wasn't running on commodity hardware, I probably wouldn't have this be so painfully slow. But if it was coded better, it wouldn't be so painfully slow either. I mean, I guess it's not on them for coding find. It certainly didn't code the find application. Dope. All right, and 141. We are there. So I could log in and test and such, but I feel pretty good about this for now. Instance list. Let's see if my other custom feature. Okay. So you can see there's still a little bit of work to do here, but ain't no big thing. It looks like the basics work. This pops up. Cool. All right. So yeah, that's the basic process of pushing out an update using Helm and Kubernetes. You can see that even with my sort of lackadaisical approach here, I didn't really want to run tests. You know, some of this stuff I'm kind of playing up to make sure that we get to show what I want to show, but report, yeah, blah blah blah. Okay, user instance of. All right, well, I'll have to dig into that another time. But yeah, basically you can see how, you know, Kubernetes is like actively going to fight you to keep stuff online, which is pretty slick. So generally you have to, once you have things set up and sort of stable, you really, you know, part of you got to work to take stuff down. So, and even when you take it down, it's a lot easier to take it down in a degraded functionality way than it is to like take it all the way offline where you just don't get any server response. So that's, you know, like I said, one of the big benefits that I see out of using stuff like this is just, yeah, some peace of mind. I just don't worry all that much about most of the stuff that I have deployed. I have alerts set up. Vast majority of it is self-healing, but it's self-healing in a way that didn't require me to build out like thousands of lines of like Nagios checks and all of this other stuff. So, at least not yet. I think that's all I got for now. Please let me know if you have any questions, if there's any part you'd like to know more about. I can certainly record a more focused video that isn't just rambling and taking shots in the dark at fixing stuff. So, anyways, I've been Nick Johnson, and thanks for watching. Feel free to check out my instance, capitalism.party. It's a little Mastodon instance. You probably know about it because I don't plan on advertising this anywhere else. That's about it. See you.